Hello, everyone. Charles Watts here. Welcome to another edition of Inside Arsenal. And it's going to be a fun edition today. Of course, what a win yesterday at the Emirates. Arsenal finally beating Manchester City for the first time in 15 attempts in the Premier League, ending that 12-game losing streak in the league against City, moving above them in the Premier League table and moving joint top of the table, of course, behind a certain team, but we won't mention that right now. Let's just focus on the positives, and there are plenty of those today. My voice, as you can probably hear, is a little bit hoarse. I don't know what it's going to be like after rambling on for 20 odd minutes in this video. So yeah, apologies if I'm you can barely understand what I'm saying by the end of it, but quite a bit of shouting was done at the Emirates last night, as you can imagine, because what a day it was. Let's bring up some slides and some pictures for us all to look at if you're watching this on YouTube. Lots of happy faces doing the rounds, as you can imagine. It was a really good day yesterday. It was an interesting game, I think. Now, obviously, I was in the stand, so I was watching it as a fan. I wasn't, at the time, sort of, when you're watching it from the stands like that, you just don't get as much of an insight because you're so sort of emotionally absorbed in it. You're not watching it. You're not seeing the replay. You're not seeing the analysis, that sort of thing. So from the sort of fan point of view in the stand, it was an interesting game to watch. It was, very tight, very, neither team really seemed like they were sort of pushing for that winner at times in the second half. It did feel like if someone was going to win, it was probably going to be Arsenal. I thought they shaded it, but it was a really tight game between two teams. You didn't want to give anything away. I think as the game wore on, you got that impression that it was all about sort of not letting things slip. And I think both teams probably would have been fairly satisfied with the point as the way that the game was panning out. But if you're looking here on they've got the Opta stats from the game up on the screen. If you're watching on YouTube, you see the City actually shaded it in terms of XG, but it was a very low scoring XG affair. Arsenal 0.41, City 0.55, and most of that would have been from Nathan Ake's chance in the first couple of minutes that he put over from after Declan Rice had cleared that effort off the line. The ball recycled back into the box. Haaland flicked it on, and Ake had that chance that he put over, and you can see by the size of the circle on that graph that have been put up, that was the highest XG chance of the entire game, and that's pretty much all of City's, one that made up the 0.55. But Arsenal dominated in terms of shots, 12-4. City only had one shot on target. I think that's the lowest shots in a game that City have had in the Premier League for years and years and years. I saw that stat doing the rounds. Arsenal defended really well. We'll talk about that throughout this episode at times, and the way Arsenal sort of nullified Manchester City and really kept them in check, kept Haaland in check. And although it was a very tight game, as I said, I did think Arsenal pretty much deserved it. So if one team was going to win it, I thought it was going to be Arsenal, and that's how it panned out. Obviously, with that late goal from Gabriel Martinelli, it was an interesting team selection from Mikel. I spoke about it in yesterday's episode, actually. I was saying if Thomas Partey wasn't deemed fit to start, I wouldn't have been surprised if Jorginho came in. And that's how it panned out. Jorginho playing as the 6, Declan Rice moving a little bit further forward, playing more in that kind of 8 role alongside Martin Odegaard. So a bit of a tactical sort of tweak there from Mikel Arteta. Havertz was on the bench. There was no Bukayo Saka, obviously missed out, very late decision, missed out. And Eddie Nketiah played as a sort of central striker. Jesus says, I was kind of hoping if Saka was out, played on the right, Trossard played on the left. The back four and a goalkeeper were as expected, and Arsenal bringing on substitutes during the second half. Martinelli, Partey, Tomiyasu and Kai Havertz, and we'll talk about those substitutions a little bit later on in the in this episode. And it was just one of those games that as you watched it and as it dragged on, you thought it's either going to take a moment of brilliance, refereeing decision. It was something like that was gonna if the deadlock was going to be broken, it was going to be something like that. And in the end, it was a deflection that did it, with Gabriel Martinelli's shot deflecting in off Nathan Ake right at the end. Honestly, it was an amazing moment when that goal went in. The celebrations, if you haven't seen it, I've posted up a video. I uploaded a video on this channel this morning, just of a kind of like behind the scenes look of the day. It was just about sort of 5 minutes long, just kind of trying to capture the atmosphere of the day before the game, during the game, after the game. And when that ball hit the net, it was just magical scenes at the Emirates. The noise, the atmosphere, the emotion. It was just absolutely fantastic. So if you haven't seen it yet, go and watch it. I uploaded it earlier today. So hopefully it captures the mood a little bit of what it was like. It was the noise when that went in, the celebrations. You could just see what it meant to everyone. This was such a huge game for Arsenal. It was more than just a match. It was the whole psychological factor of it all. We all knew it'd all been talked about a lot leading up to the game. 12 defeats in a row in the league. Hadn't managed to get a win against them in 15 matches in the league since that masterclass from Santi Cazorla at the Etihad, which is just remarkable. I think that was the last win. I think, yeah, it must have been. It was just a remarkable statistic. As good as City are, and we know how good they are, you would still think that Arsenal would have beaten them at some point during that run, but I hadn't seen. You've just got that number over Arsenal, and you kind of hope the Community Shield win in the summer was going to mark the end of that. And now they've followed that win up with a proper win in this one. And, what that means for the remainder of the season, we'll have to wait and see. But I just think psychologically, it has to be a big, big moment. And you could see it in the celebrations with the fans, what it meant to the players. It was a big, big victory for Arsenal, a real statement win. I think it maintains their unbeaten record. As I said, it moved them above Manchester City in the table, and just a really, really, really massive victory. I thought, and you could tell Mikel Arteta was really, really pleased. He knew how important it was. You could see his face during the game and after the game. Speaking in his press conference, he said it's a great feeling. Obviously, you could sense it's been so many years without beating them. And today we've beaten, in my opinion, without a question of doubt, the best team in the world. And we've done it in a great way. There were moments we had to suffer, but as well, moments we showed real determination, desire, and belief to beat them. So I'm really happy. He was then asked, is this sending a statement about this win and ending that record against City? He says, well, it certainly sends a message to the team. Keep believing in what they are doing. They are a fantastic group of players. The way they try, the understanding, the chemistry that they have between them, you sense it and you need it to beat that today. Again, I'm really proud. I was proud on Wednesday when we lost the game. He means Tuesday, obviously. And I'm really proud again today as well to be part of that team. And there is just a real sense of unity around Arsenal at the moment, I think. And wins like this can only help with that. I think it really will. It's you need victories like this just to build that confidence and belief. And Arsenal have done so much in the last year in terms of these type of victories, of ending runs against teams who they've struggled against. Going to Tottenham and winning last season, beating Liverpool at home last season after so long without beating them. Winning again at Stamford Bridge. Even this season, going to Goodison Park and winning, which, yes, Everton haven't been great this season, but it was still a big sort of psychological thing for Arsenal that they've failed to do for so long. But this was the one thing that was left to do, to beat Manchester City. And they've done that now. And I just think it's going to be a really, really important thing for them, and an important thing for Mikel Arteta as well, to get one over Pep Guardiola. And to be fair to Arteta, as Brady Perez 7 says here, credit where credit is due. Fantastic masterclass with tactics from Arteta. And he did get it really, really right yesterday. I thought the team selection, once Saka was out and wasn't going to play, and once it clearly made the decision that Partey wasn't fit enough to start, I think Arteta got everything right. Bringing Jorginho in, I thought that was a really, really smart move, as I spoke about in yesterday's video before the game. If Partey wasn't fit, it made sense to bring Jorginho in there. He played really well against City last season at the Etihad. Even when he came on, I thought he changed the game and gave Arsenal a lot more control. So it was good to see him in that sixth role. We moved Declan Rice further forward alongside Martin Odegaard. I thought it was a really good call. And then he got everything right from that point. The substitutions in the second half really, really worked. Brought on Martinelli at halftime because Trossard had an injury. And, that was a risk. And Mikel spoke about that afterwards. The physios were worried. Everyone was worried. But Martinelli was so determined to be back for this game. He brought on Martinelli. Obviously, that led to the winner. But then the whole goal that led to the winner, all four substitutes combined, it was Thomas Partey's brilliant ball up. And Thomas Partey was so good, I thought, when he came on yesterday. Absolutely excellent. And he played the ball up to Tomiyasu, who had made that run, who got into the final third, and then he laid it off to Kai Havertz, who held it up really well. I thought Kai Havertz played really well when he came on yesterday, and then he held it up, laid it off to Martinelli, and Martinelli scored. Obviously, it's just tactically Mikel got it really, really right. He reacted to Pep's substitutions. He saw what City had done in that second half, and he reacted really, really well, and they made a big, big impact. So it was a very good day for Mikel Arteta, I thought. I just wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about Arsenal centre backs now. I mean, I've spoken about them a lot, but you run out of words to describe Gabriel and William Saliba. Obviously, Saliba is getting loads of credit for his performance yesterday, and he was magnificent. I mean, Erling Haaland did not get a kick. That moment in the first half when Haaland looked to get on the counter attack and he used all his pace and his power that we've seen him do, made that run into the space, and Saliba just went with him and then just muscled him off the ball and left Haaland on the floor. And he walked. It was just such a statement from Saliba. That moment, it's like, you are not bullying me. I am on you today. And it was just a magnificent performance from him. And he is, he's always called a Rolls Royce and all that. And everything that you say to describe William Saliba is correct. He's just got the world at his feet. He's a generational talent, an amazing centre back, and he was fantastic yesterday. You see those stats from Squawka. He's won 100% of his duels, completed 97% passes against City, did not make a single foul. He didn't get dribbled past once, just dominated Erling Haaland throughout. It was a fantastic performance, and he did it injured as well. He's pulled out of the France squad. Reports in France said he had to have an not operation, sorry, don't want to scare you. He had to have an injection in his foot because he's got this toe injury. He had to have an injection in his foot to sort of get him through the game, and he did that, and he played that well. I mean, it's just a fantastic play, and he's not going away with France, which is a good thing as well. Now he can stay, might have a little bit of a holiday this week, go away, have a bit of a sort of recharge, and then come back and spend some time at London Colney. So that's really, really positive. So brilliant from Saliba. But look, as Vet Para here sent in this message, hi Charles, I think Gabriel must be one of the most underrated players in world football. Saliba gets a lot of credit, and rightly so, but he has Ben White next to him. Gabriel is performing like he is next to Zinchenko, who isn't in defence most of the time. Gabriel is a beast in both boxes. He is composed on and off the ball, and he is left-footed. What a player. And I love this comment. And as much as Saliba deserves the credit for what he's doing and the performance he put in yesterday, Gabriel equally deserves that sort of credit. I thought he was brilliant yesterday, and there's so many good points in this because Saliba does have Ben White closer to him, who doesn't, do what Zinchenko does most of the time, doesn't drop into midfield and play as the inverted, an extra man in midfield. So the amount of times Zinchenko does that, Gabriel's basically got to cover his space as well, and he does it so well. The pair of them together are just absolutely fantastic centre backs. Just, in my view, they're the best two centre backs in the Premier League. They're the best two centre backs Arsenal have had as a partnership. You could go right back to the invincible, Campbell and Toure. There've been some good ones before that. After that, Koscielny and Mertesacker had a really good partnership at times. But there's nothing that Arsenal have had since the glory days of Wenger, the Invincibles. Before that with Tony and Martin Keown and Boldy, people like that. But this centre back partnership now is as good as it gets, for Arsenal in a long, long time. They complement each other perfectly. They're both so strong, physical. They can both score at the other end as well. Gabriel, especially, such a threat, as that Para says here, in the opposition box. And just a delight to see them playing together and playing so well. And if they can stay fit, and Arsenal got a hell of a chance of doing something very, very special this season because they are that good. So really, really pleased to see that. Let's have a look on. This was an interesting point. David Raya yesterday played in goal, obviously. First half, definitely nervy early on. You could sense that. He had the moment where he got caught in possession with the ball by, I think it was Alvarez, wasn't it? Unfortunately, the sort of clearance deflected into the side netting rather than into the goal, which was very, very fortunate. You could sense an edginess around the crowd, almost that they wanted him to move the ball forward quicker when he was on the ball and just get rid of it rather than standing on it and sort of waiting for City to close him down. Mikel was speaking about it, and I thought a really interesting answer from Mikel here. If you haven't seen it yet, it's on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. He's talking about the Raya's distribution. He said, it's my fault, all my fault. They can put it all on me because I asked him to do that, especially against this team. You just have to do other things and you can get in big trouble. I think he was excellent. The way he dominated his box, the way he came out for crosses and set pieces, the height that he played at, he's got big ones because the crowd go like this with the players. I've seen it. The players start to kick balls everywhere. And I've said to him, you don't do that. Make sure you don't do that. And he didn't do it. At the end, he got rewarded because the team started the game the way he wanted to play, much better. So it's a big compliment to him. So really interesting comments there, I thought, because you could tell the crowd, they were edgy. And when that happens, a lot of times players will panic and just start booting the ball on, get rid of it and get rid of it because the crowd are urging you to do that. You can just fall into that trap. And obviously, Mikel was told him before the game, don't do it. No matter what the crowd do, no matter how much they get on you, don't do it. You keep doing what I'm telling you to do, which is keeping the ball, dragging City out, get them on top of you, and then play the ball out and try and turn around. And it is risky. It's a definite risk reward. We've seen that. And it almost failed spectacularly yesterday when that Alvarez charge down almost resulted in City's goal. But this is what Arteta wants from David Raya. This is why he signed him. And it might take a little bit of getting used to for us, but clearly it's what Arteta wants, and he thinks that's the way, especially against a team like Man City, that if you can beat that press, if you can suck them in and you can turn them and get the ball in to midfield, and you've sort of cut 4 or 5 players out by doing that, then that's what he wants to do. And yeah, it's an interesting one. It was certainly nervy watching it at times, but I think we're all going to have to accept that that's the way it's going to be from now on. Okay, here's one from Bernard Wafula, I think 7441 says, will PGMOL give 2 apologies for the Kovacic 2 tackles? And what were your view on the 2 incidents? Well, I thought it was a joke. I thought it was an absolute joke. I don't think Arsenal will get an apology for it. But I mean, Kovacic is a very, very, very lucky boy to stay on that pitch yesterday. The first one easily could have been a red. Obviously, I was watching it from the stands, and it was on the other side of the pitch from me, so you couldn't get a clear view. But I looked on my phone while we were waiting. When it came up with the VR check-in, I looked on my phone, and everyone who's watching the game, who's seen it on the TV, or the journalists in the press box I know, were all saying, oh, this is a bad tackle. And then you saw it and you think, oh, we could have easily gone for that. When you think of last week, what Curtis Jones got sent off for Liverpool at Tottenham, and then you see Kovacic's tackle there. It was dangerous. It was nowhere near the ball. Like Curtis Jones at least sort of went on the ball, and then his foot sort of rolled over the top of the ball, and that's why it ended up being a high challenge. So in a way you can say he's unlucky. Kovacic didn't have that excuse yesterday. His foot didn't go over the top of the ball. It didn't sort of bounce into Odegaard. It was just a terrible high tackle that could have really hurt Odegaard. So he was very lucky. But then to do the next one within a couple of minutes, how on earth that is not? I mean, it is the most blatant second yellow card you can ever see in football. It is so obvious. And how Michael Oliver didn't give him it, I don't know. I thought it was really... And when you consider... And I know it's hard to compare other incidents, but when you think about what Michael Oliver sent Gabriel Martinelli off for at Wolves a couple of years ago for those 2 yellow cards in the space of about 10 seconds, which was one little shove and then a little pullback or whatever it was. And then this time he manages to let Kovacic stay on the pitch. And I'm so grateful and glad that we're not sitting here now talking about that as a really controversial moment that potentially cost Arsenal, because Arsenal went on and got the win. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. But still, when you're looking at it purely as 2 decisions, I find it a real struggle to understand how Kovacic didn't get sent off for that. He could have easily been a straight red, but then to not get a second yellow, it's really hard to explain how that's not a second yellow. And the inconsistency is just so frustrating, because one week you'll see someone get sent off for that all the time, and then this time he lets it go. And yeah, it was a struggle. It was a strange one, I have to say. Here's one from Mr. Ace Blado. Says Tommy deserves more praise for the goal. And he does. Fair play to Tomiyasu. I thought it was a brilliant run from him. It was really interesting. When Arteta brought Tomiyasu on, it was to counter the fact that Man City had brought Doku on. And so, you thought Doku's going to exploit the pace with Zinchenko, the way he plays. And, it was late in the game. He's getting tired anyway. You thought Doku's going to exploit that pace behind Zinchenko. As soon as that sub came on, we were all standing there in the crowd talking to each other and saying, this is dangerous. He's going to be a real threat here. And Arteta reacted by bringing on Tomiyasu, which made so much sense, to replace Zinchenko, to cut down that space for Doku and have a more out and out defender on that wing to counter the threat of Doku. But then Doku went over to the other side and ended up playing with Ben White, so he started playing on the left. And because of that, Arteta then said to Tomiyasu, okay, fine, we don't need you to do what we thought you were going to have to do, so you get forward now. You get forward, play almost as the extra man, like kind of Zinchenko, get foot into the final third if you can. And it's on this quote here, this is what Mikel Arteta had to say about him getting forward and playing as almost an attacker at times. He said, I just told him to do that. I said, Tommy, they put Doku there in the first moment after they changed him to the other side, and we made changes straight away. And then we see Tommy, him as a left winger chasing the keeper. To be fair, the subs were excellent. Again, they're involved in the goal. They brought so much physicality, energy, and quality to the team. So yeah, it was really interesting sort of tactical tweak from Arteta when sort of reacting to what Manchester City did. And fair play to Tomiyasu. It was a great run forward. And again, it just shows the importance of the squad. You know, I thought Arsenal ended that game with the players on, with the substitutions that have been made. They ended it really, really strong because you've got Thomas Partey coming on, who played so well. Tomiyasu, who we know is such a good defender, such a good player, and versatile. Kai Havertz, who every time I see Kai Havertz play as the 9, I prefer him there so much than when I've seen him play as a left 8. Every time he comes on or plays as a 9, I think he does really well. And I thought he did really, really well yesterday. Obviously got the assist for the goal, which was a big moment for him. And it's just the more I see it, the more I just think, play him there. If you're going to play him there. Don't play him as a left 8. Play him as a false 9 because he causes problems. He's good in that position. And he just seems to have more impact on a game when he plays there. And obviously Martinelli got the goal. So the substitutions all worked. And I thought they made Arsenal look really, really strong towards the end of the game. And yeah, that was really, really good to see. Okay, here's one, and this is how we're going to end today. And I almost feel like I repeat myself when it comes to Declan Rice, but Louis underscore 4554 says Declan Rice is like a modern day Patrick Vieira. We might finally have replaced him. I mean, Declan's going to have to go a long, long way to be able to say he's finally replaced Patrick Vieira, because Vieira was just an absolute one-off, just a wonderful, wonderful footballer who gave me so much joy. And yeah, it's hard to really put anyone in the category of Patrick Vieira, but what Declan Rice is doing, how he's playing since he arrived at Arsenal is just absolutely superb. And the fact that no one mentions his price tag already, you know, he's only been here a couple of months and already no one mentions the fact that he cost £105 million, because he's just worth every penny. And it's so obvious for everyone to see that he's worth every single penny that Arsenal paid for him. It was so good again yesterday. So that sort of 3 of Saliba, Gabriel, and then Declan Rice, they were so good. And Jorginho as well, actually. I want to pay credit to Jorginho because I thought he played really, really well and was excellent for Arsenal. But what Declan Rice gives, the ability to win the ball back. I mean, that moment in the second half when he raced back, I'm not sure, can't remember who it was on, and he just did that amazing tackle to win back possession and immediately passed it forward and got Arsenal moving again. He's just got everything, Declan Rice. He really, really does. He's just a fantastic player. And, you know, if he can stay injury-free this season, which fingers crossed he can, it's just going to be such an asset to Arsenal going forward as they go and try and win this title, go deep into the Champions League. And yeah, just £105 million well spent. It's tough to say anyone's bargain £105 million, but Declan Rice is looking every inch a bargain for me at the moment. Just an absolutely fabulous player who shone yesterday, as he has done pretty much every time he's pulled on an Arsenal shirt since making that move from West Ham. All right, everyone, that is it from me today. Thank you very much for watching or for listening. I hope you've had a fantastic Monday morning. I have. It's been a lot of fun. And yeah, we've got 2 weeks to celebrate this result now, which is very, very nice. We'll wait and see what happens with some of the players on their international breaks. Bukayo Saka, Mikel Arteta saying he's not going to link up with England. There are reports today that England are still expecting him to link up and be seen by the doctors. So we'll see how that happens over the next 24 hours. And so I'm sure I'll speak about that in tomorrow's episode. We've got Inside Arsenal Extra Time coming tomorrow as well with myself and James Benge at some point. So if you want to send in a question to myself and James, please do that. Reply in the comments below. We'll have a look at them and go through some of them on tomorrow's show. Until then, everyone, have a very good start to your week. Enjoy watching the highlights again and again and again, as I'm sure you're going to. And yeah, have a great Monday. Speak to you soon.